Hi, I'm Winslow Domain. I'm an artist and game designer, and I spent the last 5 years creating a game called The Restless. The Restless is a cooperative dungeon crawler style game for 2 to 4 players, set during the last days of an infertility apocalypse. The game is huge, but it's thoughtfully crafted. The rules are very straightforward and intuitive. I literally designed the game so that my mom could play it along with me. But beneath the surface, nuanced mechanics create interesting and evocative gameplay that my more experienced card game friends have really enjoyed. Every copy of The Restless contains 20 playable characters, 20 starter items, 245 loot cards, 173 treasure cards, 181 encounters, 16 effects, 50 realms, 30 rests, 11 final gods, and a rulebook. And every single piece of it, every single card, front and back, was drawn or painted by hand by me. It took years. Just the inking alone, just the line work, not the coloring part, easily 1,000 hours. And then writing the entire game, the functions, the stats, the flavor of every single card, and then playtesting. I mean, my god, over a year of playtesting? The first half of my 30s gone. I had to create the individual printable files for the manufacturer. 750 cards, front and back? What the Sorry about that. You also get 150 countercoins, a D4, and a D20, and a little cloth bag. The Restless takes place 30 years after a pantheon of gods betrayed humanity and condemned them to extinction. During those 3 decades, fear and panic caused the great nations to wage brutal wars against each other and themselves. While humanity convulsed with violence, the membrane that separated the mortal realm and the countless other dimensions of heaven, hell, and places beyond began to split open, and all manner of cruel angels, shape-shifting demons, and unknowable creatures spilled into the mortal plane. The great kingdoms have been crushed, and their mighty warbands have been driven to their graves. Only the dregs of humanity remain alive. As the final days draw near, a suffocating storm of ink-black smoke appears on the far western horizon and begins sweeping across the continent. Every living creature must run from the smoke or die. You must gather your party, collect meager equipment, and flee to the east. At the far end of the world, you will confront the gods that condemned your species to extinction. Seek revenge or die in the swollen darkness. The end is in your hands. The game is easy to set up. First, all players get a character card. Characters have stats, a trait, and a unique special ability. Then you draw a starter item, your sole possession and only hope of survival. Then your party gains some reroll counters and 3 rest cards. And then you draw the first realm card. Realms provide not just the history and geography of the land before you, but new rules, opportunities, and extra challenges and rewards for clever play. Once the rules of the realm have been read aloud, draw the first 4 encounters, and the game begins. Together, your party will struggle against an increasingly oppressive series of realms, cutting through the horrors of the encounter deck, all while running from a relentless storm of black smoke. As you push forward, you'll gather weapons, spells, equipment, and consumables and valuable information that will help you along the way. But you'll have to work strategically to keep yourself and your team from taking too much damage, because in the Restless, there's little time to mend your wounds. Outside of a few spells and some rare items, the best way to recover health is by playing one of the party's 3 rest cards. These represent the nights that you can rest before the smoke catches up to you. Use them carefully though, because when they're gone, and there's no choice but to run without stopping until you reach the end of the world. After completing 5 realms, you'll come to the blasted wastes of the Far East. There, you'll fight one of the traitor gods that condemned the human race to extinction. The final battle is highly complex and challenging. You'll need to use everything at your disposal if you want to kill the thing that betrayed your kind. I've had a blast putting this game together, and I've spent hundreds of hours playing it with friends, fleshing out every mechanic and exploring detailed interactions for countless synergies between items, environments, characters, and encounters. One of my favorite mechanics in the game are the sin cards. There are 3 primary rewards in the game. Reroll counters, which can be used to reroll any roll. Loot cards, which are weaker consumables and weapons and equipment. and treasure cards, a deck with the most powerful and valuable items in the game. However, there are 30 sin cards hidden in the treasure deck. Sins are debilitating conditions that instantly stick to any character who reveals them for any reason, and almost always remain there until death. If your party wants to survive, they need the cards in the treasure deck, but in order to get them, they must constantly risk gaining a sin. And to make this worse, there are a number of encounters and realms that force characters to just view and discard multiple treasures at a time, which burns valuable equipment and exposes characters to extremely damaging sin cards. That's the thing about the Restless. Your characters are not heroes, they are mere survivors, nameless, afflicted, and discarded. We live in a horrifyingly hostile and unforgiving world that is constantly brutalizing all of us. And that's the thing about misfortune and trauma, it doesn't necessarily make you a hero. In my case, it made me worse, so I made a game about it. All of that being said, the game is very straightforward. Once you've read the rules, you're ready to play. Everything that you need to know is in your hands. I collaborated with an artist known as Deformer to create a soundtrack to the game. You might know him from his work on the incredible podcast Swindled, where he creates evocative and moody soundscapes for every episode. His work in creating The Last Gasp, the soundtrack to The Restless, is exceptional. I originally intended this to be a stretch goal item, but I enjoyed it so much that we're making it free for everyone, even if you don't back the game. Just follow the link to his Bandcamp listed below. You might remember me from my last Kickstarter, when I released the Tarot Restless, a fully reimagined deck of 100 silver-trimmed tarot cards and an accompanying book of stories and interpretations. If you already have a copy of the Tarot Restless, you can add these cards to your game as an expansion. If you don't, I have tiers available to add one to your pledge at a discount. That way, you'll get 2 massive, hand-drawn projects from me, totaling 850 cards. The Tarot Restless is a standalone tarot deck and an expansion. You don't need it to play the base game at all. You also don't need to know anything about tarot to appreciate either project. Should I have named my game The Restless, something more distinct from The Tarot Restless? Maybe, but here we are. When you're done, shoot me a follow on Twitter @WinslowDomain, on Instagram @Calculations, and check out the Discord where you can see more about the game and get a sneak peek at some unannounced projects. Also, check out my podcast. It's called I'm From the Internet. It's about somethingawful.com and the whole of the early internet. I swear to God it's good. I promise you it's good. And for the love of God, tell your friends about this. I'm just one dude, and I only have so much reach. Help me get the word out. I appreciate your help, and I thank you for your support.